Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Sutton Def from the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. This is yet another edition of Quiet Storm Sports. So this is the segment kind of a show where I will go live using only audio on YouTube just to it's kind of like an emergency podcast sort of thing in some ways, but I like doing this every now and again. I'm going to start doing it here a lot more soon, so stay tuned for that. Should be a good time. Now listen. Ravens just got a big victory on the road Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They win the game 41-31. And I wouldn't say dramatic fashion. I would say more so dominating fashion. That game really was not as competitive as the scoreboard entails. Um, it was a good game. I think overall the Ravens played really well. I had a lot of concerns about the defense in the first half of the game, specifically that first quarter when we just could not we couldn't stop anything. We couldn't stop anything. Not the pass, not the run. It felt like at a certain point they were setting up the run with the pass. And it was kind of crazy to watch. Um, Shout out to all y'all who are getting in here watching live. Make sure you guys like the video. And if you're new, maybe just popping in early morning vibes, right? Subscribe to the channel. We do lots of Ravens content here. But look, so the biggest thing for me, right, is that this defense cannot show any form of consistency whatsoever. Like whatsoever. It's bad. It is really bad. To the point where I'm starting to question Zach Bore's ability just a little bit. Because when you really think about the defense last night, they didn't get a whole lot of like schemed up stops, if you know what I mean. Eli, what's going on? Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. What's going on, Eli? Good morning. Um, but yeah, they didn't get a whole lot of like schemed up stops, right? Like we only stopped the bleeding. We only stopped the bleeding when Marlon Humphrey got those picks. That was it. Because I mean, we had scored a touchdown. I think it was 7-10, and they were marching right down the field. They were marching right back down the field. They were getting ready to score again. And that was when we desperately needed a turnover to kind of turn the tide in that game. And for the second time this year, because Marlon Humphrey did it again in the Cincinnati Bengals game, and he did it again last night. For the second time, he stepped up when the Ravens desperately needed a turnover. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask from Marlon Humphrey right now. He is having one of the best seasons of his life. Of his life, quite literally. So, man, man, we needed that. We needed that turnover, and that was what really stopped the bleeding. But like I said, outside of that, we didn't really see a whole lot of like defensive dominance, I wouldn't say. I think that the fact that they could not score that much in the second half, of course, the defense, they picked it up. They started playing better. I like what I saw from the defensive line, things of that sort. But I think it had a lot more to do with the fact that the offense was absolutely rolling and making the Buccaneers offense a lot more one-dimensional, a lot more predictable, and thus a little bit easier of a game to call for Zach Orr. Let me see what y'all are saying. Good win, but our defense is trash. They look slow. Yeah, somebody else had told me it's a little bit like it seems like a little bit of a lack of effort out there too. Um, I see a little bit of that, but I put most of this on scheme, guys. I really do. I put most of it on scheme because it's just like we have the same personnel, damn near, that we had last season under Mike McDonald. But the two defenses are night and day in terms of production. So I've got to see an improvement there. I'll tell you one thing. Can we talk about Brandon Stevens? Can we talk about Brandon Stevens? Is it time to have a conversation about Brandon Stevens? I think so. Brandon Stevens is a guy who I actually like as a player. I actually like Brandon Stevens, but my issue with Brandon Stevens is that somehow, some way, the opposing team's top wide receiver happens to get stuck on Brandon Stevens, and Brandon Stevens gets cooked every time. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that he always gets cooked off of the line of scrimmage. I'm not always saying he's getting routed up. I'm not always saying he's getting, bodied, out physical. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that normally, like I said, I like him as a player because normally he's somewhere around the ball, but he just can't seem to get his hands on the ball consistently, or I don't even want to say consistently because it seems like almost every time against the top guy, they're going at him and they can just have their way with him, you know. And he does make a couple of plays here and there, and I appreciate him for that. I'm sorry, I like I said, I like him as a player, but it seems like an issue to me at this point. I don't really know whether or not it's so much as the scheme, because I know we like to play a lot of single high, play closer to the line of scrimmage, and that leaves our corners on the outside on an island. Even John Harbaugh said it himself, like, we don't really help our cornerbacks a whole lot, especially on the outside. Like, we trust them to go out there and win. And Brandon Stevens has not been winning. Now, granted, you got to give him a little grace. To be fair, he's really getting cooked against the best receivers in the National Football League, the best ones, right? But my thing is, if he's going to be matched up against these guys, and Ravens coaching staff, I'm looking at you, if you're going to have Brandon Stevens matched up against these top guys, you better expect him to perform and produce. And if not, maybe we need to look at getting a Marlon Humphrey, excuse me. And maybe once we get Arthur Millette back and we can plug Arthur Millette back at that nickel and that slot position, maybe we can move Marlowe back out to the outside and he can cover more of the top guys at the X position. We'll see. We'll see. Eli says our DBs get beat constantly in man coverage. Yeah. We have a hard time kind of plastering guys. Even Marlowe had some issues with that last night. Speaking of Marlowe, he did go down with he got hurt his knee. He hurt his knee, I think, in the first half, and then he just did not return. So, prayers up for Marlon Humphrey. Hopefully he gets better. Who was the other one who got hurt in this game? Zay Flowers also got his ankle rolled up on. He had a good start to the game, but then got his ankle rolled up on, and we didn't really see too much of him after that. But Zay Flowers, man, I mean, this offense, let's just talk about the offense a little bit more. This offense, man, and this receiving core, there's been a lot of talk lately and in the past few years, and I've been parts of these talks in the past few years, but most recently I haven't. And I think for good reason. I think that the Ravens have sufficient enough pass catchers to win them a Super Bowl. I really do believe that. I really do believe that. When this offense is in sync and, we're setting up the pass off of the run, these guys, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Andrews, likely, all those guys, absolute just menaces to defenses. Menaces. And I know Zay Flowers went down early in this game, but look who stepped up. Rashad Bateman. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Rashad Bateman agenda is alive and well and kicking. 4 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. One of the best games of his career, quite literally. Having one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best, up to this point. It's Rashad Bateman. We have to take our time to give this guy his flowers. This is a guy who We drafted in the first round, 2021. You know, he's had his ups and downs. He's been hurt here and there, available, not available. You know, some people question whether or not, including myself, whether or not he could play with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Will their differences ever be, you know, will they ever meet in the middle on their differences in terms of like their play style? Because they've always been cool with each other. But in terms of their play style, would they ever be able to get on the same page? And this season, we are seeing that. They're on the same page. They're on the same page. Like Lamar Jackson is on time. I want to give a shout out to the offensive line really quick too. Didn't have their best game, I would say. You know, Lamar, he got banged up a couple of times, I'll say. But for the most part, I think that they played a decent game. But that is what sparked the huge performances from Rashad Bateman, 2 touchdowns from Mark Andrews, you know, Derrick Henry even had his own receiving touchdown in this one. Justice Hill as well. I mean, I'll get to Justice Hill in just a second here. But Rashad Bateman, man, that deep 55-yard touchdown, just music to my ears, man. Just I can't say enough about it. I can't say enough about that quarterback to wide receiver connection. If that gets going, if that becomes a consistent matter on this offense, the Lamar to Bateman connection, if that becomes consistent, good luck to the rest of the football league, the National Football League. Good luck. Because it's just quite literally how. This is already a pick your poison. I said it on the last episode of the show last night. This is like a one size fits all offense. Because there's so many different things that the Ravens can do to beat you. It doesn't matter what personnel, what style of defense you want to play. We have a way to exploit you. We have a player that can exploit you. If you want to stack the box and sell out on the run, first of all, you got to worry about which direction we're going. Is it going to be Derrick Henry between the tackles, or is it going to be Lamar Jackson keep around the edge? You have to constantly worry about that. Pick your poison there. And oh yeah, by the way, while you're worried about that, we might just fake the run. And while everybody, like all your linebackers, are looking or eyes glued to the backfield, right? Kind of leaning forward almost, waiting for the run to happen, because you got to get a head start on trying to tackle Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson for that matter. We're throwing it over your head. We're throwing it over your head to Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. Oh, man. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar is still here too. I'm telling you, this offense right here, man. Like I said, pick your poison. One size fits all. One size fits all. And I kind of figured that this game would go like this once the Ravens got the run game going and just kind of the offense just in general. Once Lamar Jackson got going and he put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense on their heels. On their heels. There was nothing that they could do to get back in the game. And you can kind of tell, like, when NFC teams kind of just throw their hands up, like, okay, we don't know how to stop these guys. We don't know how to stop these guys. Dope, what's going on, brother? It says no scheme can stop this group. I agree, man. Like I said, it's a one size fits all offense. Like any scheme that you try to put up against it, they find a way. And shout out to Todd Monken, man. Todd Monken in these last 5 games has been in his absolute bag. I think we're getting better week to week. This offense literally just refuses to sit down and shut up. It refuses. It's constantly making noise, constantly making something happen. 3rd and 19, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like 2nd and long, doesn't matter. We're converting it, you know, or at least getting it to Justice Hill so he can get close enough for Justin Tucker range, who showed up again last night, by the way. After starting this league the season slow. He showed up again. Dan Pennell says, "Can we take a minute to recognize Todd Monken's work?" Yes, sir. That's what we're doing right now, bro. That's what we're doing right now. Todd Monken he's been going crazy. He's been going crazy over this 5 game stretch. I'm not exactly sure how many points we're averaging, but I know it's in the 30s, and that's impressive. That's impressive. I mean, if only the defense can put together a more complete ball game more consistently, because we only really did it against the Bills, I would say. Had a chance to do it last night, but we decided to let them come back towards the very end, and they end up putting 31 points on us. If the defense can match the energy of the offense, this team, I think they'd be Super Bowl favorites. I think they would. I think that the Ravens are playing the best football in the National Football League right now. The Kansas City Chiefs, yes, I do know they are undefeated. They're the last lone undefeated team in the league, but I do not think that they are playing better football than the Baltimore Ravens. And I definitely do not think that Patrick Mahomes is playing better football than Lamar Jackson right now. I know they beat us in week 1. Although that game was damn close, very, very close. I do not think that they are the best football team in the league right now. I don't. I just don't. Couple other things. Justice Hill, stud. Justice Hill, absolute monster, absolute dog. Can't say enough about him. Look at this guy, man. Look at this guy. Nobody knows who this guy is. Still, I think if you asked 70%, 80% of NFL fans right now, who is Justice Hill? What team does he play for? They probably would not be able to tell you. But time and time again, doesn't matter if it's prime time, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. Doesn't matter if it's a playoff game. It doesn't matter if it's 1 p.m. on CBS. When you call his number, he shows up. He shows up in the run game, in the pass game, whatever you need in the blocking, whatever you need Justice Hill to do, he is there for you. And my guy Pope says Justice Hill is a Swiss Army knife. Yes, that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, man, it's really crazy to see. Difficulties here. Had to switch my mic. I think I should be sounding better now. Yeah, but Justice Hill, Swiss Army knife. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. Sean says, LMAO, good morning. Good morning, Sean says, this is my first visit to this channel as a as a Prince fan. Oh, Prince fan. Yeah. I thought this was for him, but it's for the Ravens. Yes, it is. As a fan of both, this is great. LJ8 gave us another Jackson 5. Welcome, Sean. Yes. The name of this channel is in dedication to the late, great Prince. Purple Rain, Purple Rain, Purple Rain. Thank you so much for this subscription. We appreciate that. We go live every Monday and Thursday at about 6:30 to 7 p.m. and we preview and review each Ravens game. Me and my co-host Simply AS10. But yeah, another Jackson 5. I mean, let's talk about the MV3 that's loading, right? MV3 loading for Lamar Jackson. I think that's. I mean, he's got to be at the forefront right now. He's got to be the favorite. I think going into week 7, he was like plus 550. I think the odds were. I saw. And now the guy is like, he's got to be like plus 200, plus 300, something like that. He's got to be number 1 favorite. Got to be. Love what I've been seeing from Lamar Jackson, man. It really seems like he's in a lot more control and in command of this offense. And that's something that me and Alex talked about on the show last night. This year more than ever, it seems like that this coaching staff, this Ravens coaching staff, has let Lamar Jackson kind of fully take control of this offense. And Rashad Bateman spoke about it earlier this week. He said that, before there were some things that Lamar Jackson wasn't really allowed to do pre-snap, like communicating certain things with his guys and whatnot. It was kind of like the Ravens were trying to like puppeteer Lamar Jackson a little bit. Like, okay, we have this weapon. We have this special weapon here. Let's try to completely control exactly everything he does and fit him within, our parameters of what we should look like. And that just doesn't work. That doesn't work. Like, Lamar Jackson is his own sentient being. You have to let him do him. He's an artist. Quite literally. He is an artist. You have to take the crookeds with the straights. You have to just let him do his thing. And when you let that happen, you see things like what happened last night. 5 touchdowns, no turnovers, W. 333 all-purpose yards and a W. Hope says unanimous MVP. You can't deny him. Josh Allen is his only competition. I agree. I mean, Josh Allen's up there right now, too. I would also argue Jared Goff is making an argument. He's been playing really, really well lately. But when you talk about who is the most valuable to their team, yeah, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson, this team, as good as we are roster-wise, without Lamar Jackson, we are an 8-win team, I think, at best. At best. Lamar Jackson's just that good. He's just that valuable. And honestly, with him winning 75% of his games, you could argue that this kid should win MVP every single season. Like, he's just that type of player. Like, you could see with like an Aaron Rodgers or like maybe like a Patrick Mahomes or a Jared Goff, somebody like that. They could win MVP off of the performances of their skill players, right? So like if Aaron Rodgers wins MVP, yes, because he made a lot of great throws, but it's also probably because of the performances, the stellar performances, the damn near historical performances of a Garrett Wilson or a Devontae Adams. Patrick Mahomes doesn't really have the guys this year for that. But you guys know what I mean. You get my point. You get my point. Lamar Jackson, he does not have, like these. And I just got done talking about how great our receiving core has been recently, but we don't have like those household names at wide receiver at Lamar Jackson's disposal. We don't. And yet, when you watch these football games, you can clearly see that the number one reason why we win these games is because of Lamar Jackson, whether that be what he does passing the football, whether that be what he does running the football, it does not matter. Lamar Jackson is the reason that the Ravens win. Period. Period. This is Quiet Storm Sports in the Morning with your boy Sutton Def. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of my Ravens fans, all of my NFL fans. This is a Ravens YouTube channel where we do cover the Ravens a couple times a week. Mondays and Thursdays, we go live, me and my co-host, Simply AS10. We drop shorts, YouTube shorts throughout the week, so make sure you stay tuned for those. And you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Sutton Def, like you see on the screen. Sutton Def, SUTTONDEF. Okay, what's some other things I want to talk about before I wrap this one up here? What else did I want to mention? Pass rush. I thought early on, Baker was kind of having his way, much to my chagrin. I think that they kind of stepped it up once the defense realized that the offense was going more one-dimensional because they had to. I think we were able to make a lot more stops because of that. I think, again, Zach Orr was able to call a much easier game because of what the offense was doing to the Buccaneers defense and kind of forcing the offensive game plan to again be one-dimensional. I think that had a lot to do with it. But yeah, I mean, pass rush has got to be more consistent for me, man. It's got to be more consistent. I got to see more out of Calvin Noy, who had a sack, right? I got to see more out of Adafe Owe, who I think also had a sack. I got to see these guys more consistently. I just do. Zadarius Smith sweepstakes says my guy Pope. I've heard about the Ravens being linked to a potential reunion with Zadarius Smith in Baltimore. I would not be opposed to that at all. But I do think that the Ravens, if they were going to make that move, they would have been more intentional about it a couple of weeks ago. Only reason I say that is because the Ravens went out and they picked up Yannick Ngakoue, who was also a former Raven, who left and I think went to the Raiders and came back to us here in Baltimore. I think that the Ravens are gonna stick with Ngakoue. I think he's been showing a little bit of juice, so I don't think that they'll double up on the edge rusher, the midseason edge rusher acquisition. If anybody, at this point, they may try to target another wide receiver or another cornerback, depending on the health status of Zay Flowers and Marlon Humphrey. Okay, let me see here. It says, with King Henry filling the box up, the wide receivers have stepped up big time. You can see chemistry develop in real time. Absolutely, man. I know that those wide receivers are having an absolute blast out there right now, just because they know that they're going to be able to take advantage of, one-on-one coverage, lots of man coverage, because teams are so worried about Derrick Henry and just whatever is coming out of that Ravens backfield. Sean says, watch Stephen A., Acho, and Nick Wright come up with nothing but criticisms of Lamar Jackson. They have MVP votes and are looking for reasons not to vote LJ8 the MVP. I know Acho has MVP votes. I don't know. Does Stephen A. and Nick Wright have them as well? I didn't know that they had them. But I know Acho has them. He's mentioned that on his show before. Um, a lot of people will say that voter fatigue is going to be the main reason why Lamar Jackson doesn't win his third MVP this year, because the lack of the playoff success that they'll say Lamar Jackson has. And I think they're just kind of, in the fact that he won it last year, I think they're trying to go in another direction if they could. But Lamar Jackson, the fact that he's making it so undeniable right now just goes to show, it should wake everybody up to, like, okay, the fact that this guy is the best player, he's the best football player in this league. And I really don't think that's that hot of a take. I really don't. I think he is the best football player in the National Football League. And I think he deserves to win MVP if he keeps up this level of performance throughout the year. But man, it's crazy so far to see him do what he's been doing. But okay, I'm going to leave it there for this episode of Quiet Storm Sports, about 30 minutes in here. I just wanted to hop on here and kind of talk to you guys, see how y'all were feeling, let you guys know how I was feeling about the game last night. It was a beautiful day from the offense, and you love to see it. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming through. If you're watching this or listening to this on the replay, shout out to you. I hope all of you guys have a beautiful day. And we will see you guys on Thursday on the Purple Rain Podcast, episode 273. This is your boy Sutton Def signing off. Peace.